South Africa power utility Eskom has confirmed reports of the South African National Defence Force being deployed to 4 of its power sites. The power stations which have seen a military presence are Majuba, Camden, Grootvlei and Tutuka. The exact nature of the deployment is not yet known, with Eskom, Aubrey, Sambo, acting spokesperson, redirecting all queries to the presidency. And now to speak more on this, we are joined by SA Defence Union's Pikkie Creet. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Creet.
Thanks for having me.
Now, President Ramaphosa announcing the development, of course, and deployment of army officers at various Eskom sites. Tell us what this means, and is this a good move?
Well, whether it's a good move, that only time will tell. The fact of the matter is that internal defense communications show that the move was informed by real-time intelligence, which shows that there are direct threats made against electricity, opposed against electricity infrastructure and power stations, and that the police, or at least the defense force, is in this role deployed in assistance with the police, or to assist the police in terms of Section 19 of the Defence Act. So there's 2 legs to this deployment. The one is to assist police and the law enforcement agencies in their normal day-to-day activities and give them some show of force or backup. And the second is, of course, if a situation should develop whereby non-law enforcement organizations will become involved, like the Defence Force, doing strictly Defence Force stuff like airlifting capability, vehicle and foot patrols, roadblocks and that kind of thing, then they are authorized in terms of this section to do so as well.
I mean, but what does this also say about the capacity of South Africa's policing system and civil, security agencies, if you have to bring in the army to protect power equipment? And of course, is the South African army normally trained for things like this?
Well, the first part of your question, I think it doesn't say a whole lot about the South African Police Service's capability. It's become all too often the norm over the past 3 years, ever since, even just before the pandemic, that the army is called to assist the police in the normal law enforcement that they should be doing. And questions really start to be asked about the police and who is the leadership of the police and the way that this police force is handled or managed. Secondly, the soldiers are trained in things like crowd control and all the other tasks that I mentioned. And of course, especially when there is a need for casualty evacuation and so on, and that's where, of course, the air capabilities of the Defence Force would come in handy.
Okay, now I want to talk about Aubrey, the writer, who's just resigned as CEO. There is also, of course, the investigations of corruption, around Eskom. There are allegations of sabotage, and of course, some of all of that. Is there any way to link some of all of this together? Are there assumptions that there are people within the system that would like to even sabotage Eskom further, seeing that they've had a very, very terrible year with the load shedding issues that South Africa has been having?
Yeah, I think Mr. Director himself, while he was CEO, pointed out that there were some internal saboteurs at Eskom, probably people with a political agenda of their own. It's also well-known fact that Mr. Director was a strict disciplinarian in terms of rooting out corruption and mismanagement at stations, and certainly that didn't make him any friends, insofar as there are people who have interests in letting Eskom fail in order to reach a political goal. As far as the investigation against Mr. Director is concerned, I don't think it's appropriate for the union to comment on that, except to say the law must run its course. And Mr. Director has the right, like any other South African citizen, to be regarded innocent until proven otherwise.
All right, Mr. Pikkie, thank you so much for your time. I definitely would like to speak with you again and, of course, bring you in on other security issues in South Africa. Thanks for your time once again.
You're welcome.